Welcome back to Honest Tool Reviews, and today is going to be yet another one of those videos that just isn't about tools, and I do apologize. Today is going to be aired towards the nerds, as you could probably guess from the title of the video. For those of you who do play Yu-Gi-Oh! Or have played Yu-Gi-Oh!, the actual name of the game, Duel Monsters, almost ubiquitous with the other game, Duel Monsters. Yu-Gi-Oh! The one with the anime about Yugi Moto and then all the other ones that came behind it. Um, just this game specifically, because of the way it's behaving, the way Konami is letting it behave, I wanted to make a video almost in response to some of the videos I'm seeing where people are saying this is the best deck. No, it's not. So, just for the record, I'm sure that most of my audience is following me either for tools or guns. They're not following me for nerd things. But I wanted to make this video response in case people see this that are nerds. People who might be Yu-Gi-Oh! Card playing fans of the series. And I wanted to offer a different point of view. Okay? Because people are buying these cards left and right, day in, day out. They're collecting cards. They're trying to make a deck. They're playing Duel Masters, the game on Apple and Android. They're playing the Duel Links, the older version of Duel Masters. They're doing like me and still playing the PlayStation 2 games, emulated on their tablets and smartphones. Well, so here's the thing. It's a myth, okay? The best deck you can make is a myth. The best deck you could buy is a myth. Let's dive into that. If I was a big hotshot YouTuber person, this would be a camera scene, and we'd cut to like an virtual world, and I'd show you all of the cards you could use. Can't do that. So you're going to have to use your imagination, because one, I don't have any video editing software at the moment. Two, I make no money from this whatsoever. So I'm just giving my opinion. But let me know in the comments below how you feel about this. But over the last 10 years or so, the power hike has gone bad. It's gone bad. Let's just say it's gone bad, and try not to offend the people who make our Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But okay, so they power hike a lot, and it's non-stop, and it's a big issue. And we know it's a big issue, but we can't stop them. We get these decks coming out now where they have a theme, where it's like they're all zombies, they're all machines, they're all trap tricks, they're all elemental heroes, they're all prank kids, whatever. Could be a dragon deck, could be a dinosaur deck. Now, they had them back in the day. With the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series, you had Rex Raptor's Dino deck. You had Weevil's Bug deck. You had My Valentine's Harpy deck. And then you had, like, a number of other ones. And they all lost, by the way. They all lost. Yugi won with a deck that was basically, these cards work well together, these cards work well together, these cards work well together, and any combination of these cards work well together. And it was something that you kind of had to put the cards together very carefully and notice, because there's like 8 or 9 fusions that he can make. There's like 10 or 12 ritual cards that he can use. it's not that they're all dragons or that they're all zombies. It's that they work well together. And back then, yes, a lot of the cards were normal monsters, and you had to use your magic and trap cards to accomplish things, which was part of its allure and challenge, by the way. But the actual use of the monsters was not a fleeting, I put it down to use its effect and then I get rid of it. And therefore, the monsters, each one had to play a much stronger role. And now they're kind of like a Achilles tendon. For those of you who do not know who Achilles is or why an Achilles tendon is a problem, it's a lot like when people say an Achilles heel. Matter of fact, I believe that's the same statement. And in the past, we used to say this to be like it's their one weakness. So the winning decks in the tournaments nowadays are not the same as the winning decks in the tournaments of old, tournaments in the past. And by saying that, I have to express that they are very different decks. Back in the day, you may have a Toon deck, you may have a Chaos deck, you may have a Dragon deck, but they were dragons you found that were powerful and you put in a deck. Nowadays, you buy a themed deck, and no matter how many card packs you can buy afterwards, there's only so many cards for that deck, and you put the number in that you want. You're basically gambling which one you're going to need more than the other. That's the deck. Those cards go to that deck with those cards that are in the deck. And either you use this one or you use that one, or you run 3 of this one or you run 2 of that one. But that's all you've got. And they all pretty much do the same thing. And by that, I don't mean the cards, I mean the decks. The decks have one single card that's like their strongest, and it is dedicated to getting that card onto the field and trying to keep that card on the field. That card will either be able to attack you multiple times, attack you with a lot of attack points, or it will be allowed to inflict damage on your opponent's life points, or it will be allowed to get rid of all of your opponent's monsters over and over and over, or it will block your opponent from using magic and trap cards. And a lot of other monsters will have some of these abilities, but the boss monsters typically do all of this stuff. Most of the time, it'll do 1 or the 2 of these effects specifically, but it'll typically really hold down the opponent. And the decks nowadays, they're designed to almost where I go first, I win. You go first, you win. They go first, they win. And there's just a couple of them that are designed to, I go second and I win. But if you start first, or if you start second, depending on which of those decks you're running, you lose. Because the entire idea is no matter what you draw, you will be able to pull something from your deck and card search from your deck and shovel your way through your deck and find what you need to put on the field, which will allow you to use its effect to bring out the cards that will allow you to tribute summon, that will allow you to synchro summon, that will allow you to XZ summon to get your boss monster on the field within 2 turns. And not only does it mean your turn takes 3 or 4 times as long and looks like the guy is playing solitaire while the other guy just sits there, trying to remember if he left the oven on at home because he's so bored, not because he left the oven on at home. But it makes the game duller and less challenging because either you won or you lost. But that's not the point of this. The point of the video is that deck can be designed for winning, but it's still not the best deck. Why is it not the best deck? Because all decks have a fatal flaw. And if you can make sure that using card effects is not possible, then these decks that depend on the little monsters, the little peons, bringing out the big monsters with card effects, then you've really got them in a pinch. And the stronger the boss monster, the more Konami tries to make it fair by crippling the boss monster. A lot of them can't be normal summoned or set. They can only be summoned by the effect of other monsters. So if you've played a card that no longer allows for card effects, period, until they get rid of that, they can't bring their boss monster out. They have to allow it to go to the graveyard and potentially bring it back from there. And because that's one of the only ways you can do so without a card effect, you can design the rest of your 60 cards to prevent that from happening. It's like different dimension decks, where cards that go to the graveyard don't go to the graveyard, they go removed from play instead. And if you play the cards in the right order with the right amount of luck, you can take out these decks because they can't summon their boss monsters, they can't use their effects, their cards are not in the graveyard, which is where a lot of effects come from. A lot of these cards, when they go to the graveyard, they get summoned to the field anyway. So all it takes is sitting down, deciding who your opponent is going to be, and looking at a near limitless number of cards to decide what would be the perfect combination. Then you just have to find out if you have those cards. That's all there is to it. But the winning championship deck this week can be beat. The decks from the winning championships 10 years ago can be beat now, and vice versa. And Toon World decks, which to me are a ongoing favorite, they can be beat. You know, there's always a hinge for these themed decks. Toon World holds all the tunes together. Trap Tricks has a single set of cards in it that hinge. Got a coworker who plays Mechankos, and those hinge on like 2 cards. And either you get one or you get the other. But if you don't get either, you're kind of screwed. And you're supposed to be able to dig and dig and dig through your deck, and he refuses to use the cards to let him do that because he has more pride, I guess, than that. He wants it to be difficult and to win on his talent and luck and not accessing his entire deck all the time. Because I know we all grew up doing that, right? So like when we were 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and even 10 and 11 and we were playing Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like, here's my deck, it's 80 cards. Oh, you play that? Okay. And you start looking through your deck and be like, well, I play this card. And they're like, oh, you play that card. Well, I play. And they search through their deck and this card. We didn't use a hand. We didn't use a set of 6 cards. And for the record, what happened to that? Because at one point you could only have 5 cards in your hand. Then you could only have 6 cards in your hand. Now I've noticed a lot of people playing the game, especially on Duel Masters, if you get 6 or 7 cards in your hand, that's not the limit. You can still draw and have an 8th card, a 9th card, a 10th card, an 11th card. Where was the rule that you can only have a certain number of cards in your hand? Because a lot of decks, I had one myself, where I only really had high-level monsters, and I brought them back from the graveyard to put them on the field. And the only way to do so was to allow them to get to the graveyard from my hand. So I would constantly draw cards and have to shove some to the graveyard because of the card limit, and that would allow me to bring them onto the field. I summoned Blue Eyes White Dragon, even Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon that way, so many times back in the day. And it doesn't seem like that's a function of the game anymore. That effectively breaks my deck. That deck, I don't have it anymore, but it breaks it. So you can't say this deck is the best deck, or this deck is the winning deck. This deck is the ultimate deck, because even though Konami has done a price, well, not really a price hike, a power hike, and started making everything themed, which has ruined it, and started making all the monsters effect monsters, which has made a lot of things pointless, and started making it where you can just buy structured decks. Even though they've done all this crap to kind of boost their money and give you this false sense of I'm going to win, you still can fail. You still can lose. You still can come away from that having lost. And when you do, it's not that you had bad luck, it's that someone else's cards were better for that one particular pair up, that one particular duel, that one particular time. Their deck isn't better. Your deck isn't better. No one was worse. Your deck didn't play well with that deck, and you probably had bad luck of the draw, and maybe you made a couple of simple mistakes. They all culminate together. But we're all human and we all make mistakes. Things happen. But that's my entire point of this video, is that there is no one winning deck, because you could play Mechankos versus Toons, and I'd love to see how that plays out. You could play Trap Tricks versus Toons, or Harpies, and I'd like to see how that plays out. I am not a big fan of Synchro Summon. I'm not a big fan of XZs. I'm not a big fan of Pendulum Summon. I've recently started doing it with the Duel Masters game. I have won a few, maybe 5 out of 30 or 40 games. The ones that I won, I enjoyed truly winning. But the ones that I've lost, a lot of times I came away from it with this sense of, did I even play that game? Did I have any choices to make? It came down to, I didn't have a good hand compared to what the opponent was doing. And people will tell you all the time, you have to make sure you always have a good hand, and that's why you stack your deck so that you can search it. Yes, but that belittles the point of the hand. That belittles the point of having luck of the draw. That belittles the entire point of shuffling the damn deck. But that's just my opinion. And I've already seen how people grievously attacked a guy on Twitter for stating that he was not having fun with this new version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because the guy played a 30-minute round and won on the first turn, while he started playing solitaire in a secondary window on his computer. And he was called a liar. He was told he was exaggerating. He posted the video and it didn't change anything. People still said he was lying, even though he had the video footage of him playing solitaire while waiting for this man to make his moves. And I mean, I don't understand why people will call you a liar when you have the video freaking footage. You were right, sir. They did take a very long time with their turn. They did repetitively summon, and it was one making an effect to the other, making an effect to the other, making an effect to the other. They should at least limit this to, like, you can use one summoning effect per turn to make the game more, okay, my turn's over, it's your turn now. But people are agreeing to play this way, in this format. If you're not interested in this format, you can play GOAT format, which is the alternative. It's the original version. It's also called Scapegoat format. And there is a actual website you can go to. You may have to search Google and YouTube a bit to find it, because I can't remember, and it's on my tablet at home. It's like dueldeck.com or duelistdeck.com, but it's a dueling website where you can build your decks and try them against people. and you can play and duel with people, and you can go to specifically GOAT format if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. And between that and Duel Masters, it's a very well-rounded set of options for people. And you always have the option to only play with real cards. No one's forcing you to play. But just keep in mind that your deck, it's not the best. It's also not going to be the worst because of the way that works. So you might just find someone that can't win against you ever. There's also going to be times where you're going to find people that you can't beat ever. So send this to somebody who thinks they have the best deck ever. And also, if someone's been complaining that they have a really bad deck, send this to them too. Because if they're running a theme, it's just a matter of time until they find the person that just can't play against them. And in the meantime, I highly suggest we stop using themed decks. Sure, zombie is vague enough, dragon is vague enough, but if someone plays a card that means all zombies can't attack, you're pretty much screwed. So it's great to have a little chaos in your deck. And chaos decks used to be about all kinds of cards, like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Joey Wheeler style decks. They used to be. They're not anymore. Chaos is actually a theme now with chaos cards. But chaos means a little bit of everything. And if you notice, just throwing it out there, begging people to hear me out, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Joey Wheeler and Kaiba, three of the biggest decks out there back in the day, they did not have a theme. Rex lost. Weevil lost. That little zombie boy lost. Bandit Keith was a themed machine deck, lost. My Valentine lost a lot. Those themes can easily be plot holed. So the only reason to run a theme deck is if you are interested in a certain type of thing, like being a skateboarder. You might want to make that part of your personality. And I personally believe there is a such thing as too much of any one thing, which is partially why my videos aren't all one thing. For one, I would only be getting one type of audience, but for two, I am an extremely highly rounded person. I do archery, I kayak, I canoe, I fish, I run, I hike, I camp, I shoot guns, I have tried knife throwing numerous times, and I refuse to give up on it. I will learn it. I will master it at some point. I've been trying it. I do bicycles, mountain biking, BMXing. I've discovered you can throw motors on bikes now, so I have motor bikes. I am a mechanic, and I do nerd things, and I watch anime, and I watch cartoons, and I am a father, so I've seen Bluey and YouTube and all of that, and if Baby Shark doesn't get out of my head, god dang it. But more to the point, being well-rounded has always been a good thing, and maybe your decks should be too. Thank you for hearing me rant, and hopefully this has been an enlightening, thoughtful process that maybe somebody can walk away from this with a little better point of view about things when it comes to decks and deck building. I'm sorry that I don't have any really unique or great visuals for this. I do genuinely apologize. I don't take donations. I don't take anyone's money. I don't advertise. I don't take sponsorships. So this is about the best I can do right now. I am financially struggling, and I don't have a great laptop for doing things. I don't have a great phone for doing things. And I am running out of time every single day to even breathe. So taking the 30 minutes that I have right now to sit down and express this for people who probably need to hear it, I just feel like it was necessary, and I want to do it for you. I'm not doing it for finances, and therefore you're gonna have to excuse the lack of graphics and special effects. Hopefully, the intent to help people was far more effective than the attempt to entertain people. A lot of my videos aren't to entertain people, they're to either give you an alternative opinion or to educate, re-educate, or give a review on something. And a lot of that, I hope, is helpful. It may not be entertaining, but maybe you're sitting down and looking to learn something. Maybe you're sitting down looking an alternative opinion. And hopefully that's the kind of things y'all can continue to receive from my videos. And I haven't had the most comments in my videos. I haven't had the most back and forth with my I don't want to call people fans. I'd prefer to call people friends, but nobody really talks. So I'm just going to say I haven't had a lot of feedback about my videos, but hopefully this is one that people can discuss in the comments below what their favorite deck is, why they run it, what kind of cards they use in it. Is it kind of a chaos build, or is it more of a themed deck? Did you buy it that way and add some cards from other packs? Did you have cards on hand and you kind of built a deck? What exactly went on in your process to build it? And do you believe that your deck is the best deck ever? Or do you have more of a understanding like I do that some decks can be beaten by other decks, and it just depends on who you're playing? Which really, if you think hard enough, if you remember, if you've been exposed to it, they used to leave tip cards in the packs, the Yu-Gi-Oh packs. And one of the tips, I think it was like number 51 or so, was not to tell people what cards were in your deck. Don't brag about your deck, because then people can build a deck against you. And ultimately, because you have a Trap Tricks deck, and you say, I have a Trap Tricks deck, you don't even have to say what's in it, because people can go home and Google Trap Tricks and they can see what the main cards are and build against it. Which is, yet again, why I don't like themed decks that much. I like the Toon World thing just because it's adorable and reminds me of anime in general, and it's just a cute thing to have. I don't play it. I haven't played it. I built the deck and I let it sit and gather dust, because I felt like that was leaving me completely open to people getting rid of Toon World, and then I'm screwed. Anywho, have a great day out there. Stay safe out there. And again, feel free to talk in the comments below, and I'll try to keep up and have a little back and forth about this. Stay safe. Stay warm. It's cold as crap out there now. And until next time.